Today, I'm going to be sharing with you all my updated Ultimate Viper guide for Bind. This is going to include post-plant molly lineups, execute setups for the smokes, defensive setups, and general strategy that I use for Viper on this map. As always, if you find these videos helpful, then please consider leaving a like and subscribing as it really helps me out. And if there's something specifically that you're looking for, there will be timestamps in the description for you to click on. First up, we're going to be going over execute smokes and starting off with a site. If your plan is to hard hit a site, this is the execute wall that I always use. Stand in this corner here at the barrier and aim your wall so it cuts through a site diagonally like this. This way you don't allow anyone to hide in this corner here in cubby if you were to throw it straight. And what I recommend you do with your orb on this execute is actually smoke U-Hall. This way, when you start the execute, you put up your orb and wall. And when you're ready to fight for U-Hall control, you can just drop your orb and leave your wall up. For this orb, you need to come into A short here, jump into this corner, aim the bottom left corner of your toxin bar into this corner of the window and do a normal left click. And this orb will land right at U-Hall. And this is what this wall and orb cover. So like I said, what I like to do on this execute is clear all of short here. And then when you're ready to fight U-Hall, you can just drop your orb and leave your wall up for cover. So moving on to B-side executes and starting off with a wall, I keep it super simple and throw my wall like this so it just cuts off elbow right here. But you want to make sure you don't block off this cubby or the top of this box here. So throwing the wall anywhere like this is fine. Where you throw it from is going to depend on how much space you have. When possible, I like to throw it right from this wall so that way there's no potential angles being blocked from long towards sight. But if your teammates are already up and have guard and control and you're a little bit behind, it's okay to throw your wall like from here a little bit further away, and it works just as well. And for the orb lineup, you're going to need to take initial hookah control right here and make sure these angles are safe. But for this orb, you stand in this corner at this box. And all you want to do is line up this line in your toxin bar into the corner of this metal sheet, just like this. Do a normal left click. And this is what this wall and smoke are going to cover. Orb emitting. So as you can see, elbow is blocked off and CT is perfectly smoked as well. So the other important part of attacking on bind is knowing the lurk setup for A. And for this lurk wall, you want to stand in this corner here at the barrier and you want to aim your wall so it isolates this lane to U-Hall by throwing it so it connects to this box here all the way back towards CT. And the orb that you're going to throw is the same U-Hall orb from before. So jump into this corner here, aim the bottom left corner of your toxin bar into this window, do a normal left click. And this is what these smokes are going to cover. So as you can see, the wall is going to be blocking all of sight and heaven, and the orb is going to be blocking U-Hall. And generally, what I like to do with this setup is keep both up while I walk up into this orb, and I'll pick up the orb for a swoop peek to fight and clear U-Hall. So the idea here is to isolate all of the gunfights one by one, starting with U-Hall, take U-Hall control. Then once you have U-Hall control, you can just work your way back site or go through spawn or start clearing the other parts of site. But the main purpose of this, as you can see, is to deny a ton of information, and it's going to force the defenders to be playing in front of the wall and orb around here. You don't even need to be consistently lurking through to U-Hall or anything like that. The pressure is already there just by throwing these smokes. And generally, I will only be throwing these if I have a primary controller on the team, as otherwise, you're just not going to have enough smokes to cover the rest of the map if you decide to not hit a site or the lurk isn't successful. Now, moving on to post-plant molly lineups. And the first lineup for a site here is going to be for when the spike is planted default, which is anywhere on the front side of the truck here. For this lineup, you're going to need to come into A short here, jump into this corner right here, and you want to aim just a little to the right of this corner of the roof. So just about here, do a normal left click, and the molly will land perfectly covering the front of sight. So the next lineup for a site is going to be for when the spike is planted at triple right here. For this lineup, once again, you're going to be in short here, jump into this corner this time, and aim at this line on the toxin bar, right where these two pieces of broken wall intersect. So just like this, do a normal left click, and molly will land right next to triple. So finally, for post-plant molly lineups, this is going to be for when the spike is planted default on B site. For this lineup, you're going to need to come out into long and stand in this corner right here. And and you want to aim the middle of the second part of your toxin bar right underneath this corner of sheet metal. Do a normal left click, and the molly lands right at default. So moving on to defending setups, and starting off with a site, the orb that I always throw is going to be a one-way here on short box. And to throw it, just stand in front of the box on the right side here and do a right click. Super easy, it lands right at the corner here. And the wall that I like to do will change depending on if I am a solo controller or if we have two controllers. So if I'm solo controller, what I'll do is throw this one way, and for the wall, you just stand in this corner here, and you aim your wall so it cuts off Hookah and Garden like this for your B-site players. So this is what the short one-way looks like. And this is what the B-site wall covers.
Toxins going up.
So as you can see, it covers long and Hookah. So these next walls are going to be for when you aren't a solo controller. And the first wall that I like to throw on A here, you throw it from this wall here, and you throw it so it cuts outside of showers like this. And the purpose of this wall is to allow you to contest for the orb here and take space outside of showers. So the main B site setup that I like to use if I'm playing B site and I'm not solo controller is the Hookah control setup. And for this setup, what you want to do is jump into this corner and aim your wall so it cuts through Garden and Hookah like this. And you want it to cut right at the box here outside of Hookah. And for the orb, you want to throw it right here. So that way, when you fall out of Hookah, you can put up your orb and have cover still. And this setup is really great for giving you a lot of options to contest Hookah. Generally, what I like to do is put up the wall at the start of the round and hold a line, break any initiator or raise util that might be coming through. If there's a lot of Hookah pressure, it's super easy to just molly and hold the swing through. And if you do end up getting overwhelmed here fighting at the wall, you can easily just give it up and put up your orb for cover as you jump out. So one thing I like to do when I'm playing in Hookah around this wall is to not just sit here at the same spot every round and hold this angle. It's important to jiggle, that way you don't just get swung and pre-fired. And what I also like to do is start on one side and move to the other side of the wall. So for example, if I hear a lot of pressure, I'll make noise on this side of Hookah, take a few shots, and then move onto the other side of the wall where they're less likely to expect me. So finally, the last wall that I like to use here on Bind is the wall that goes through the teleporter. And although this is the wall that I use the least, it still has its purpose. To throw this wall, stand in the corner here in Hookah and aim it so it goes on the right side of the teleporter like this and cuts through a Garden. So the wall will come out the other side of the teleporter and cut outside of showers. And this is what this wall covers.
Toxins going up.
So at B, it's going to be the standard entrance smokes. And over here on A site, the wall will help you contest showers, take showers control, and contest the orb here.
Toxin screen down.
So that is going to be everything for my Viper guide for Bind. I hope you guys found this helpful, and if you did, please consider leaving a like and subscribing, as it really helps me out.